Alcaraz gives medical update. A twinge in the knee, it'll have to be looked after. Carlos Alcaraz called for calm after feeling some discomfort in his right knee. In the 7th game of the second set, he lost his serve. After a serve he felt a small twinge in the knee, but after 4 or 5 points it went away. I called the physio to see what was happening, to face properly what was left. It went away and I was able to finish normally. I'm not worried. Although, of course, he will keep an eye on it, waiting to rule out the presence, or warning, of a possible issue. It's that type of thing that can happen in a Grand Slam. They're intense, long matches, little problems come out of nowhere. He said that it has to be looked after and we'll see how it goes, the Spaniard remarked just after finishing the match, hoping his positive feelings are the correct ones. After putting himself in the hands of the physio, he went on a 7-0 run to seal the victory 6-2, 6-4, 6-0 over Italian Luciano Darderi, 23 years old and world number 34. The tennis player, who hadn't picked up a racket on Thursday, his rest day, which he spent playing golf, now has hours ahead to recover. He won't compete again until Sunday, against Frenchman Arthur Rinderknecht. Djokovic against Carlos Alcaraz, yet another chapter in sight. The Serbian tennis player secured his ticket to the round of 16 after beating Cameron Norrie in a hard 4-set battle. Serbian Novak Djokovic, 4-time US Open champion, qualified this Friday for the round of 16 of the New York tournament after winning 6-4, 6-7-4, 6-2, 6-3 against Britain's Cameron Norrie. At 38 years old, he became the oldest player to reach the round of 16 in New York since Jimmy Connors in 1991. The Serb extended to 7-0 his perfect record against Norrie, world number 35, who still hasn't managed to beat a top 10 player in a Grand Slam. Djokovic, world number 7 and who shares the same half of the draw with Spanish player Carlos Alcaraz, closed his third round match in 2 hours and 48 minutes. The Balkan is already keeping a close eye on the Mercian, with a record of 93 wins and 14 losses in New York. In the round of 16, he will face German Jan-Lennard Struff, 35 years old, who surprised Francis Tiafoe, 6-4, 6-3, 7-6-7. And after the match, he commented on his feelings on court. I ask myself more questions now than I used to, about how much I want to keep going at this pace, how I want to manage my schedule to extend my career, because I really want to keep playing. Asked about that famous retirement topic, he again stressed his plans. I still feel that I have fun competing and I still feel I have game left to be at the highest level. Until I get that sense that the level is gone, that it's no longer there, I want to keep going. I want to keep pushing myself to see if I can win another slam or another big tournament. And for that, Noel admits he spends many hours a day looking after his body. If anyone has been very open and curious about trying new things or taking advantage of any advance in sports science, sports medicine, whatever is said to be good, whether machines, different treatments or methods, that's me. I'm the first to try it, because I really, not only want to extend my career and perform well at this stage for as long as possible, but I also love wellness and longevity. I don't think there's much more I can do, to be honest. His next obstacle in his path to keep making history on American soil is the world number 144, who already eliminated one of the tournament favorites. And given Djokovic's rhythm and Alcaraz's triumphant path, another clash between them is already being visualized in the semifinals of the last Grand Slam of the season. Mary Jo Fernandez's awkward question to Carlos Alcaraz with a dig at the Spaniards: does it bother you to get up early to play at 11:30? Alcaraz managed to overcome discomfort in his right knee to win in straight sets against Darderi. However, the most uncomfortable moment came in the on-court interview conducted by ex-tennis player Mary Jo Fernandez. The American asked Carlos about what it's like to open the US Open's main stadium. The famous Arthur Ashe: "You are Spanish, does it bother you to get up early to play at this hour?" Carlos Alcaraz defeated Italian Luciano Darderi in 3 sets, 2-6, 4-6, 0-6, overcoming discomfort in his right knee. However, the crowd's attention shifted after the match, when the Mercian had to face an awkward question from Mary Jo Fernandez, former player and double Olympic medalist, during the on-court interview. "Does it bother you to get up early to play first thing?" The American, in a tone that sounded like an indirect jab at Spanish players, asked, "Carlos, you're Spanish, did it bother you to get up early to play at 11:30? For context, 11:30 in New York is 5:30 p.m. in Spain. Alcaraz, looking uncomfortable, answered politely, "I'm not a very early riser, it's hard for me, but it was good for me to wake up early. It helped me warm up calmly and play well." He then closed with a proud wink, "It looks like I'm a Spanish guy." It's worth remembering that the comment didn't come out of nowhere. Just a few weeks earlier, at the ATP 1000 in Toronto 2025, his compatriot Alejandro Davidovich had publicly complained about having to play matches at excessively early times. Those complaints had sparked some debate on the tour and, in this case, seemed to be in the background of the dig thrown at Alcaraz. Jannik Sinner continues with his steamroller, crushing every rival that steps onto Arthur Ashe. The Italian had a demanding second round at the US Open against Alexei Popyrin, but he got through it without major trouble, 6-3, 6-2, 6-2. Today, that fever that knocked him out in Cincinnati is behind him and the world number one is back to his most demolishing tennis, the kind he shows in Grand Slams and that only Carlos Alcaraz has managed to neutralize. About his great rival on the circuit, the Italian spoke after his victory and didn't hesitate to praise the Spaniard's game and personality, no matter how different it is from his own. He also gave his opinion about his next rival, Denis Shapovalov, and the different conditions between Arthur Ashe and Louis Armstrong, as well as the pressure of being the defending champion. Satisfied with his victory against Alexei Popyrin, it was a very, very solid performance. I think today neither of us served very well, so we had a lot of rallies from the baseline, where I felt quite comfortable today, and obviously I'm very happy to move on to the next round. Not underestimating Denis Shapovalov. It was a very tough, very difficult match. It was a few years ago and he has improved, and so have I. We're in a different position compared to 2 or 3 years ago, but it's going to be very, very tough, very difficult. He's a very talented player with huge potential. So we'll see what happens, but I expect a very hard match and I'll have to be very careful. He's unpredictable. He has a great serve. Physically he's strong. He's very quick and has no weaknesses in his game. He can do everything, and that's going to make it very difficult. But I really want to play against him. It's been a long time since I last faced him, so we'll see. It's going to be a new challenge, so I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it's a good match, that's what we all want. Each day the conditions are different. I think it's always very difficult to compare this tournament with last year's, because you don't remember exactly how you felt playing. But yes, I played 2 matches over 2 days and the conditions were totally different, because the first one we started under the sun. The conditions were a little faster. Today it felt more like an afternoon match because it was very cloudy and a bit cold, a bit fresh. But that's exactly what makes this sport so interesting. The good thing about playing on the main court is that there's not much wind. Outside there's a lot of wind and it changes a lot. Inside, more or less it always blows in one direction. There's a big difference between the main court and Armstrong, because in Armstrong there's an open part in the middle, so the wind comes in and shifts. Happy to have Carlos Alcaraz in the tennis world. He's a very complete player, no doubt. We've seen it many times, winning Roland Garros, Wimbledon and here. That shows he can play on any surface. I saw his last match and he's playing very, very well, hardly missing a shot at the moment. So he's confident. That makes it very difficult to play against him, because tactically you prepare matches differently depending on where you play. He's the big favorite in every tournament he plays because he has many solutions and styles of play he can use and with which he can solve problems. But yes, there are many, many things that make him so difficult to play against, but it's great for the sport. It's good to have someone like Carlos, entertaining and fantastic to watch, and that's what people like. It's great to have him. He already knows what it's like to defend the title at the Australian Open. As I always say, I'm not defending the title, I'm always chasing a new one, because in every tournament you start from 0 in the first round, and if you don't play well, you're out. I'm going for trophies or for good results, and that's what I try to do. Obviously, I know how much is at stake here, in this tournament, and also at the end of the year, but on the other hand, I try to play the best I can. Then we'll see the result. The rest I can't control. Australia helped me understand it a bit, yes, but on the other hand, the situation is different, the conditions are different and the mental part is also different, because you grow from the beginning of the year and now you're almost at the end of the year. Yes, everything is a bit different, but I look forward to it, because they're great challenges, concludes a Jannik Sinner who remains on autopilot in his demolishing version.